Another killer bear movie. God help me. What is going on, everybody? Welcome to my review of Cocaine Bear, the newest horror comedy by Elizabeth Banks that is based off of, believe it or not, a true story. That's right, the true, albeit maybe slightly exaggerated adventures of Pablo Escobar. And this is actually something that happened in 1985, where drug traffickers dropped a bunch of duffel bags of cocaine into the woods. A black bear came across it, ingested as much as it could get, and then went on a huge cocaine-fueled rampage, was eventually put down, stuffed, and put in a mall, if you can believe that.
3 months later, park rangers found 40 empty bundles of cocaine, but also a black bear that overdosed after consuming it all.
So with 2 films in 2 weeks talking about a killer bear, is this one actually one that is more self-aware, has fun with its presence, and gives me a bit of enjoyment?
Beth, we should go.
Well, starting off with the positives, I'm pleased to say this movie knows exactly the type of movie that it is trying to be. It is absolutely a full-on horror comedy. It does not take this premise or itself seriously whatsoever for even a sliver of a second. It's going for all different types of comedy. It is ultra gory. It essentially is taking this true story and heightening it to 11 in every aspect possible. It's a goofy good time. If you're somebody that likes over-the-top gore for slapstick's sake, there is quite a bit of it here. There's one sequence with an ambulance in particular that to me was the absolute highlight of the movie and what I will remember this film for. There is a vast cast of characters with a bunch of different personalities that all go for various forms of comedy. Some of it feels like self-parody or parody of the real world in certain aspects. Some of it's going for shock value humor. Some of it is more of slapstick stuff, as I've already stated.
There was a bear.
A bear?
It was 4.
Hey, that's inappropriate.
The movie is trying to amuse you from a lot of different angles, and for many people out there, I imagine it's going to succeed more time than it fails. Thought that the gore especially was actually pretty well done. I could tell some of it was CG, the bear himself is CG, but convincingly enough with the tone of this film, even though you know it's a fake bear, you're totally on board for it, you do not care. But there's guts, there's decapitations, there's blood splatters, there's arms and limbs and everything getting torn off, and it's convincing enough to have a laugh at. And to portray this vast array of wild characters that we have here, you have a stacked list of talented actors. You've got Kerry Russell, and I've loved seeing everything that she has done since she's had her little second wind in her career with Mission Impossible 3 and The Americans especially. She's kind of like more of the mother figure here. Doesn't get a ton to do, to be honest, but she's still very good with what the movie requires her to do. O'Shea Jackson Jr., Ice Cube's son, somebody that a lot of us would have assumed only got the role that broke out his career because he looks like his dad, and he has been pretty damn good ever since then, so got his dad's natural talent, obviously. Ray Liotta in here, which this might be his last on-screen role, I'm really not sure, but very Ray Liotta-style character to go out on, him being kind of the drug kingpin. He was great to see. It was a fun cast. This is a type of cast that you want in a movie like this. And finally, I loved the music choices that they used in this. I mean, this again is a movie that is not taking itself seriously whatsoever, and the music just highlights all of that. It's over-the-top dramatic when it needs to be. It's got that goofy little musical tones in there when the bear is chasing somebody and you know he's about to get that ass. It was something that the music reinforces every little bit of amusement you're supposed to be having in that scene.
Oh man, you fucked.
But moving on to the negatives, while I definitely think that the gore side of things and the shock value side of humor in this worked pretty well for me as somebody that has seen a lot of gore, and I admittedly am pretty desensitized, thought it was pulled off well. The humor, on the other hand, just did not work too much for me. And I've said it time and time again, I am a really hard audience when it comes to comedy. I have been burned by the direction that comedy and movies have gone for the past 5 to 7 years. I just don't really feel like a lot of what's being put out is genuinely funny. A lot of times my style of humor is a little bit darker, a little bit more crass, a little more adult than where movies want to go nowadays. And the variety of humor that we get in this movie, from the slapstick to the self-parody at times, it just didn't really land on my wavelength. I didn't find any of it to be all that funny. And if I'm being honest, while I think a lot of people out there will probably appreciate the different angles of humor that they go for in this, I actually found the humor to be a bit aimless because they just could not pick a direction. Are we going for just ultra gore shock value version of this story? Are we going for almost a self-parody of the real world in this movie? Are we going for slapstick? I could never really land what direction we were going with the jokes, and so I just couldn't really keep up with what they were trying to make me laugh with, and they failed most of the movie to do so. And by an extension of that, I didn't enjoy most of the storylines that we were forced to go on with our array of human characters. I loved the cast, and I think that they did all that they could to kind of heighten the writing that they were given. But there was 3 different groups going on. You have Ray Liotta, and you have O'Shea Jackson, and Alden Ehrenreich, and they're the ones trying to retrieve the drugs. You've got Kerry Russell and a couple of kids that she's just the mom trying to get the kids out of the way of this bear that they ran off into the woods. And then you have a 3rd group led by Margot Martindale, who's kind of like the Dudley Do-Right park ranger of the movie, and she's got a couple delinquents with her, and all 3 of these kind of converge on this forest where this cocaine addicted bear is just running rampant. And every time we swapped between all of them, I just never found the journey that we were going on with any of the 3 groups to be all that compelling. All I wanted to do was see the bear carnage, and most of this movie is spent with the human characters just talking. And it's a shame that I didn't like this one more than I did, because, you know, Elizabeth Banks is an actress that I have enjoyed a lot of her work as an actress, but she's a director that I have not enjoyed anything that she has done all that much. And I thought this was going to be something perfect for her, because that comedic edge is what she is good at for the most part whenever she is portraying characters. And so I thought this was going to be something where she was going to have a lot of a tight-knit grip on where things were going to go, but it just kind of felt a little sloppy to me. Maybe it was intended to be so, but maybe I'm in the minority. Just didn't find her direction in the movie, her steering of the ship to be all that consistent. So overall, guys, I think most people that are intrigued with this are probably going to have enough of a good time to go out and check it out. And I do think that there is some really successful gore here, but just the humor, the majority of what the movie is going for just didn't quite land on my wavelength. So decent enough time. I appreciate that they knew the movie that they were trying to make and went for it, but unfortunately, just didn't quite land. Well, that's it for this one, guys. If you enjoyed this, please click over here for a playlist of all of my 2023 new release reviews so far, and I'm also going to put my review of the most recent Killer Bear movie, Winnie the Pooh, Blood and Honey, and then I don't have to talk about it ever again. Thank you. Like, share this video, hit that subscribe button if you enjoyed this so you don't miss any of my reviews coming out in the future, and as always, remember, opinions are like assholes, but that doesn't mean you have to be.